our biasness in decision. We think that what I am thinking is right compared to what the other person is thinking. The biggest lesson that I want you to take is what? First, when you're in moments of despair, in moments of confusion, I want you to first pause and think, is this the right thing? When you're able to pause in moments of despair, in moments of where there's confusion, I think kind of gives your brain a moment to fire the amygdala. Yeah, the one that can deal with logical responses. Second thing I want you to do is welcome back to the Self-Said, the podcast where we grow from the inside out. My name is Emmanuel. Today we're talking about why is it so easy for us to misunderstand others. Have you ever been in a scenario whereby you think that what you're thinking is right comparatively or compared to what the other person is thinking? You know, you're in a situation where you think more that what I am thinking is true compared to that person, what I think, like, you know, that instance where someone does something and then you begin to think about their motives, about their space, their mind, the space where their mind is at, that kind of a thing, and then you think what you're thinking is right against them, right? So that is what I want us to talk about today in this episode. Now, recently I've been trying to review Mindwise, the book I've read in 2015 by Nicholas Epley. And this book is actually just trying to highlight mostly our biasness in kind of, in simple terms, it's our biasness in decision making. Like when we are in a scenario, we're in a situation against somebody, we tend to be biased in our decision making, whereby we think that what I am thinking is right, is the kind of the superior fact compared to what the other person is thinking, and then we judge situation, we make decisions based on that. You know, we even crucify ourselves based on that. And in this book, Nicholas Epley, what he's just trying to imprint is that sometimes it all takes to, the biggest action that it takes is to pause. Now, let's go. Have you ever been in a moment where in your life where you something happens, maybe with your partner, maybe with your co-worker, maybe with your parent, maybe with your spouse, maybe with your whoever that is around you, and then you begin to just think so hard, whereby you are trying to really understand where they are coming from, and then eventually it's like you're seeing like, maybe that person was this, maybe that person was that, and then it's like the judgment concludes, like you come to a judgment, to a conclusion that, yeah, this person must have made this decision based on this. Have you ever been in that situation? First, now, if you've been in that situation, I think this episode will resonate with you. Now, Nicholas Epley, in the first chapter, in the beginning, he tries to remind us of something peculiar to every human being, the sixth sense, you know, that thing that fires up the adrenaline, the survival instinct, you know, whereby we have that extra sense where we have five senses, right? Well, if I don't remember all of them, but yeah, the sense of hearing, smelling, seeing, touching, and what is the fifth sense, bro? Hey. Anyways, we have five senses, and then the sixth sense now is that one where you're able to kind of, foretell on a situation or judge a situation based on the hidden elements, based on the hidden things that haven't been really portrayed, And that's what Nicholas Epley in the first chapter is reminding us, that thing, that sense itself can be absolutely wrong. You might like see a situation and then you find the hidden things, and then it's like mistakenly super wrong. You become super wrong, because the things that you thought they were hidden, or the elements that you thought they were hidden, you couldn't see, they are actually wrong. You're not right. So he tries to tell us that the first thing that we should pay attention to in this journey of becoming mind-wise, becoming mindfully in our decision making, in our responses and whatever, is that we should understand that we as human can be biased. Our sixth sense can be like superiorly biased. And then the second thing he tries to say is, like he tries to remind us, is that we should understand that we might try to judge a situation by projecting ourselves to the other person. Like based on how you will deal with a situation, you think that the other person will probably do the same thing, and that's a big trap, because most times we when we're in a negative situation, when someone didn't call us, when someone doesn't speak to us, we tend to project our thinking, like if it was you're assuming, like if it was you in that situation, what would you be doing, like what would you be saying, and that also is a big challenge in our decision making. It's a big challenge in our decision making, whereby we tend to like over project ourselves towards other people, towards new situations, and then we think that, okay, maybe other people also will make decisions based on that. So I just want to welcome, is it welcome? But yeah, I want to welcome a peculiar guest that will do a summary of the first 4 chapters of the Mindwise, and it will help us to kind of understand the basics. So I want you to do a summary for my podcast listeners here. They already have a clue about Mindwise. I want you to just give them a summary of the first 4 chapters of Mindwise in general. Go ahead.
All right, here's the 4-chapter download. Chapter 1, you think you know what people are thinking? You don't, not even close. Chapter 2, so what do you do instead? Ask. It's boring, it's awkward, but it works better than any gut feeling you've ever had. Chapter 3, when you try to guess anyway, you're not reading them. You're reading yourself and pretending it's them. That's projection, and it wears empathy's clothes. Chapter 4, and when you do know something, you can't imagine not knowing it. So you can't understand why someone else doesn't get it. That's the curse of knowledge. And even when you try to adjust, you don't adjust nearly enough. So the through line? We're all walking around overconfident in a skill we don't actually have. And the way out isn't being smarter. It's being humble enough to just talk to people. How's that land?
Great. So that's the summary, yeah? The biggest lesson that I want you to take is what? First, when you're in a scenario, when you're in a situation, I want you to first pause and think, is this the right thing? Like, first, when you're able to pause in moments of despair, in moments of where there's confusion, I think it kind of gives your brain a moment to fire the amygdala? Yeah, the one that can deal with logical responses. It kind of cools down the emotional part and then allows your amygdala to now begin to work, where the logical part will come into play. Now, when you pause, the second thing I want you to do is ask. When you're in a scenario whereby you do not understand why people make the certain decisions, why someone did this, why someone is doing that to you, I want you to ask. Just try to ask. That's the only lesson. Those are the biggest lessons you can take from this podcast. Pause and then ask. Ask meaning, we have a saying in Swahili that says, kuuliza si ujinga. Translated into English directly is, to ask is to, well, in English, if you translate it and make it cool, is to ask is to learn. But if you translate like the exact words, is to ask is not stupidity. When you ask, you're able to really understand where the person is standing, so that your next action does not become biased. Because then you understand that if you do not ask, then your curse of knowledge comes into play, whereby you tend to take every experience that you have, every knowledge that you have, and judge the decision and make a decision based on that, or make a judgment of that situation based on that. So we have to really be careful. We have to pause, we have to ask, and then after that is where you allow yourself to make the decision. Because only when you ask and you get confirmation, you get a load of information, that's only when you can make the decision. But without information, I don't think it's very appropriate to make a decision. So my next my task to you from this episode, if you have listened to this episode, my task to you is, this week, what first initiative are you going to take? How are you going to deal with that big problem that you have right now in your school, with your workmate, with your friends, with your partner, with your what? What's the biggest action that you're going to take based on what we are learning today from Mindwise? Only on the first 4 chapters, because I felt like Mindwise, the first 4 chapters kind of highlight the biggest problem that we have. Because when we connect Mindwise with the emotional intelligence book by the knowledge from the emotional intelligence book by Daniel Goleman, is that we understand that from the emotional intelligence, sometimes things like emotional dependence and vulnerability come from the point of you lack self-empathy, self-esteem, self-confidence, those kind of things. So it means you first need to deal with you. When you pause, you're able to first reflect on every factor that would have pushed you to be biased. Is it really happening? Is it just in my mind? Is this person really doing that? Is it like I personally tend to have like 100 questions just before I tend to pause. When the moment I pause, even before I write a message to someone, it's like I have 100 questions. I want to first question myself, like, is it really happening? Is that real? And the moment that I ask is always from the point of like, I want to now like remove, to allow myself not to overthink. I want to just to have a clear plane whereby I want the person on the other end, be it a friend, be it a parent, be it a partner, be it whatever, but I want that person to be able to be the one to confirm, like, whatever the next step will be, whatever the next thought will be, whatever the conclusion will be, it will be based on the understanding, mutual understanding, that I truly understand the ins and outs of the situation, and I'm not just, making decisions based on what I'm thinking because I think that I am biased. So we should understand the biggest thing we should understand is that our sixth sense can be wrong, and then if we don't ask, we will never know, and then we might become biased in our decision making because we are over projecting ourselves. And then also too much knowledge can be a problem, because the more you know the more you think that everything should is fitting somewhere or somehow into whatever that is happening. But yeah, that is episode 15, I think, where we're talking about Mindwise, the book by Nicholas Epley. But the biggest lesson is that pausing is important. Pausing is important, and asking is also important. I don't know what you guys think, but let me know. Let me know in the comments sections. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. And yep, that's it for today. I hope I'll see you in the next one. I hope we can learn something new in the next one. This is Iman from the Self Seed Podcast. Keep growing, keep building, keep planting those seeds of growth. See you in the next one. Bye bye.